Scanning, skimming, synonyms. Your 3 best friends for IELTS reading. Hello and welcome to another video with Tai, the Test Queen. If you're doing IELTS, welcome. Today we are doing IELTS reading questions, the most difficult part of IELTS. Personally, I feel it's really hard. We think that if we just read carefully, we will get the answers, but it's not that easy. And today I'm going to briefly explain the 14 question types. Yes, 14 different kinds of questions that you can get. So today is the most important video. I'm also going to give you tips for each question type and how to do them. So let's jump right in. First question, matching headings. So what is a matching headings question? A matching headings question is when you get a bunch of titles, a heading, you have to identify the corresponding paragraph that suits this heading, right? So there are more headings than paragraphs. You have to read each heading carefully. Read the headings first, read them carefully, and identify keywords and what is the main goal, the main idea of each heading. Then you scan all the other paragraphs to see what the main idea is, the gist, right? So you just identify the gist, and if you're unsure, then you read a little bit more, but just scan them and see which one has the main idea. What is the main idea? Does it correspond with the sentences that you have, the headings? And then you match them. There are more headings than paragraphs, so be careful with them. The second one, matching paragraphs. So with a matching paragraph, you need to identify details. They will ask you which paragraph contains information about this topic or this thing that they've discussed. For example, it can be about education, and then which paragraph will mention notes or listening in class or watching Tai Test Queen videos, because you have to identify details. But you only need to scan, and then make sure you choose the correct paragraph. I think these are not that difficult. They sound difficult, but they're not that hard. Matching headings and then matching paragraphs. Scan. The sentence or the information that's in the paragraph and in the options that you have to choose, they're almost always paraphrased or synonyms. So once again, study synonyms. Synonyms. They are key for doing well in IELTS, TOEFL, any kind of English, right? But synonyms are key here because they will ask you something and then they will rephrase it in the information. So make sure you do synonyms. The next question we're looking at, yes, no, not given. So I know these are quite hard. Yes and no, it's kind of easy, but the not given ones, because it's not just, oh, the information is not there. It's like, is the information there? Did I just read this? I don't understand if they're saying this or not. These are hard. These are not easy. So if you do them, make sure you scan again, and then you look for the information. You look what they say. They will either test your ability to understand the paragraph, they will test your ability to know what the author, the writer of this paragraph, is inferring, or they will ask details, so actual information from the question. And you need to make sure. If it's a yes answer, it will mean the information was present, they mentioned that. If it's a no answer, it means the information is there, but it's wrong, it's the opposite. If it's a not given answer, it means they don't mention that in this paragraph. So make sure, is it there? Is it wrong? Is it right? And then you continue. The next question, summary completion. So I think summary completion is not that hard. There are a few things you can look at to ace this section. They will give you a paragraph and you have to fill in words. Either words from the paragraph or words from a box which you can choose, and you don't have to worry about misspelling them. We all know spelling is crucial for this level of English test, proficiency tests. You need to spell, even though spelling is a skill these days, myself included. You need to make sure how many words are required of you. Do they require 1 word, 2 words, more? And also a thing you can do with these questions, they will see if you can get details or if you understand the paragraph and which words fit into the paragraph. But what you need to know is look at the tense of the sentence. Let's say you have to fill in a verb and the tense is in the perfect tense. The words you have to choose from are not the past participle, then it's wrong. Then you can eliminate the ones that are wrong if you're really in doubt. So make sure that the words fit, make sure that you know how many words you can write, and make sure that the grammar stays consistent. The next question is sentence completion. So for a sentence completion question, you will also have to fill in words. You can look in the paragraph and make sure when you get these questions that you scan, you look for the information that is required, and you find the correct word. When you need to do this, make sure you don't misspell the word, make sure you understand the sentence, and make sure that the word you use fits into the sentence. Also, these questions, along with the summary completion questions we just did, they usually follow. They're usually chronological. They're in order. So if you do one here, the next one will be here and here and here and here. While the matching headings and matching paragraphs are not in order. So those are here and there. Make sure you follow the words, make sure you know how many words, make sure the grammar is correct, make sure you understand the sentence from the paragraph, and also as soon as you add the word, make sure you understand your own sentence with the new word or words, and make sure it has the same meaning. So just read that sentence to yourself. Sometimes we're so used to just doing a test, filling in words, that we fill in a word and we go to the next one. We don't check if it's right. Read the sentence and ask yourself, is that what I just read? Does it still make sense? Okay. Multiple choice questions. So multiple choice A, B, C, D, choose the correct one. They sound pretty straightforward. They're also usually chronological, and they want you to identify the most important information from a paragraph or from a sentence. You have to make sure you understand the paragraph, you understand the sentence. Like I just said now for the other questions, always make sure that your answer fits and that your answer makes sense. These ones can be tricky sometimes because they can use words and oftentimes synonyms, where if you know synonyms and you see this word and you're like, that is a synonym for that, so I can use this here. If you, and this is a tip I need to give you for the whole IELTS reading section, if you do the IELTS reading section and there's a question you don't understand, fill in an answer. Choose anything, write something. I don't care what you write, write banana, write something and then circle it or something so you can go back to that, because that is very important. Don't leave any blanks. Do not leave any blanks. In any test ever in your life, don't leave blanks. The highest you can get is 0. I remember that's what I learned in school, and that's something I will never forget. The highest score you can get is 0. And you want to get more than 0. The next question, and it's not so hard. I feel this one is kind of the easy ones. If you get this, go like, yes. It's a list selection question. So for a list selection question, you will usually get a list like A, B, C, D, E, F, G with names or topics or something, and they will ask you to identify or choose the correct letter for each question. Right? For example, one I recently did was scientists who studied this certain phenomenon. Then they will talk about it in the whole reading section. They will start talking about it. This one said that, this one said that, this one found that this. And then the questions, they will ask you who believed in this, who said this, who did that. And then you have to choose from a list of names. The tricky part here is you have to understand what the questions mean. So you have to understand the words, but you have to know synonyms, because they would often use synonyms or paraphrasing. They're not going to give you something in the paragraph and then in the exact same word says this person said this, this, this. They're going to make it tricky. This is to test your English level, not your reading. It's a reading test. It's to test your ability to read complex English. Because as soon as you go abroad, you're going to start doing projects and research, and you're going to have to understand what you read. It's not just sitting, reading, choosing ABC. It's you need to understand. So what they're testing is your understanding of each section and can you rephrase it. Next question, choosing a title. For a title, you need to choose a heading, a title for the whole passage, for the whole reading question. You need to choose which one will fit best. Don't waste too much time here. It's one point, it's one question. What you can do, read the introduction, read the conclusion, and see which one fits best, and then choose that one. If you have time, you can come back. If you're studying for IELTS, you will know this. When we do writing, you start with your thesis statement, what you're going to do, and then you end with a conclusion. Oftentimes, what they're going to discuss or what they discussed will be contained in the introduction and in the conclusion. So look at those two paragraphs, see if you understand, and then choose the best title. Classification questions. So for classification questions, you will have certain topics. You have to locate information and you have to categorize them. You have to put different things into different categories. So make sure you understand what they're meaning. Make sure you scan the whole section and see what they mean. You will definitely hear synonyms in this section. Make sure you understand them. These questions do happen. So when you get a classification question, make sure you look at the list and put it into the correct category. Once again, if you're not sure, guesstimate, and then come back and put them in the right order if you have time. You can scan the section and you will see, usually in the section there will be different categories that will discuss things first. They don't go here and there, and the questions will be the same. Matching sentence endings, so that they will give you the beginning of each question and then you have to fill in the ending. There will be a list you can choose from, and there will be more endings than beginnings. Make sure you choose the correct ending and the beginning. Things to look for: synonyms, surprise, paraphrasing, and also grammar. Here again, grammar is very important, and grammar is always important, but I mean grammar is an important tip, because you can look at the grammar of the sentence and make sure it has the same meaning and it is grammatically correct. So when you do them, make sure the grammar fits. I've seen this before. I've seen the correct answer with the correct grammar uses synonyms or paraphrasing, but then one that is wrong will use the same words from the paragraph, the same words from the reading, but something will be off. So don't think, oh, okay, I've seen that word, this is the answer. Most often it is not. Most often the ones that are so obvious are wrong. Just be a little extra cautious when you do them so you don't fall into the trap that they are trying to set for you. Don't fall into this trap. Run away. Table completion questions. This sounds like a TOEFL video, although TOEFL have some of the same questions, but it's done differently. A table completion question, they will give you columns and you have to fill in information in the correct column under the correct heading. Make sure you read all the headings in each column. Make sure you go back to the reading passage and you understand which heading comes from which paragraph. Then you can look for the information there and you can just fill in the details. Also make sure how many words you have to write and make sure of grammar. Another tip here, look for the type of word that is needed, right? Is it a verb? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Look for the type of word. It'll make it a little bit easier for you to identify what you need to write. The next one, it's not always that common. It is a flow chart question. That will give you a flow chart with arrows and you have to fill in information to complete the chart. These are not always in order. They're not always chronological. They're not in order. You need to make sure you understand the words. So go back to the reading paragraphs and look for each section and where they mention that and make sure it follows. Look at the kind of word you have to write, the same as before, verb, noun, adjective. Scan the paragraphs, find the information, and then look for details because these questions contain a lot of detail and you have to make sure you fill in the correct information in the correct place. Very important, not just the correct information, it should be in the right spot. Next one, diagram completion questions. Diagram completion questions, they will give you a diagram. Imagine you're back in science class and you have to fill in a diagram. I remember doing this in high school, biology in science. You get a diagram and you have to complete the diagram with words. Most often these words come from 1 or 2 paragraphs. They will not come from the whole section. So when you get this question, just scan, go back, find this area with all these words and make sure you write them in the correct spot. Once again, make sure you choose the correct part of speech. Is it a verb? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? And then you continue. Fill them in, make sure they fit, make sure how many words you're allowed to fill in, and cross-reference with a paragraph to make sure you understand what you're writing and make sure it's in the right spot. Afterwards, just take a step back, look at it and see if it makes sense. Especially a diagram, you can easily see, oh, something's wrong, something's wrong. Short answer questions. They're the last one we're doing, short answer questions, and by no means are they the easiest one. The word short answer sounds, oh, that's easy. I don't know why. It's like something we're just used to. If it says short, it doesn't mean easy. In this case, you need to know, drum roll, synonyms. Again, you need to know synonyms, you need to know paraphrasing, because the question will often ask you something and you have to understand the question and you have to go back, look for details or specific information, and you have to fill that in. So if you don't understand synonyms or paraphrasing, you might not understand the question, or you might not even find the information in the paragraph. If they give you information in the paragraph and then the question is completely reworded and you don't understand that, you're not going to find the information. Always make sure the grammar is correct, always make sure the words fit, always make sure the word is the correct part of speech, and then just continue and do this. A few other tips that I want to give you, I didn't mention true, false, not given, but they go with yes, no, not given questions. So true, false, not given will be the same. You have to answer true, false, not given. Teach yourself these questions and practice every single kind of question before you go to the test so that you're not surprised. I've had students study the most basic ones, the yes, no, not given, short answers, true, false, multiple choice questions, and then they go there, they get a flow chart and they're like, what is this? I've never seen this in my life. So don't get caught off guard. Study, study, study. How do you improve your overall reading for an IELTS test? Number 1, read more. Read more. I'm not saying read more IELTS related topics. Read more English. Read more books, read more novels, read more magazines if you want to, read more articles, news articles. Read more. The more you read, the easier it will get for you. Number 2, I would say, is learn to skim. Skimming is when you quickly go over a paragraph, you read it very, very quickly. You don't retain any information, but your brain does retain some. So just read everything so you get the main idea of each paragraph. Skim. Then we go to scan. Scanning is often used, or I scan after I read the question because I will scan and look for the answer. I will see a certain word and then I will scan to look for either that word or words that I know are similar, synonyms, and I will find that and I know, okay, this goes here, that goes there, I can just add this here. Scanning, skimming, synonyms, your 3 best friends for IELTS reading. Next one, keywords. Keywords are so important. When you look at the questions, identify keywords in the questions. When you look at the paragraphs, identify keywords in the paragraph. So that when you know, you can even make notes if you want to, like paragraph 1 about this, make a note. It will save you a lot of time. It's going to sound like it's time consuming. In the end, it's going to be so worth your time. So learn how to identify keywords and also look at titles. It will help you to understand the main idea. Another thing you have to look out for is time management. Make sure you manage your time. You don't want to sit there, fill in all the questions, like oh, this is not bad, time's up. You have to manage your time. So teach yourself when you practice, set time limits. And this goes for all the sections, right? With speaking, you will have someone who does that for you. But with writing, you need to time yourself. I've had students whom I teach who can write really good essays. And I've asked one student, how long did it take you to write this? And she said, about 3 hours. I was like, no, you have 20 minutes. 20 minutes. It's like, I don't know if I can do that. In 3 hours, most of us can write an essay, a really well-written essay, but can we do it in 20 minutes? So I don't want to focus on the writing, I want to focus on the reading, but time management is very important for both, always. Time management, very important. Speaking of time management, if your time runs out, what do? Just guess. Just guess. If you're guessing you're right, you're lucky. Another thing you have to be very careful for is spelling. Spelling. I've said that in the beginning of the video. Spelling always counts. Spelling is always important. If you misspell a word, it's going to be wrong. If you forget an S after a word, let's say you have to write animals and you write animal, it's going to be wrong. So you have to be very careful with spelling. You have to look at the context of the sentence and the question and make sure you write the correct word in the correct form, in the correct tense. Don't write in lowercase letters. Write in all caps. It's going to be a little bit easier. Stick to all caps, but then stick to all caps throughout the whole section. Don't switch. So those are the reading questions. I've mumbled a lot. I've said a lot. I hope you understand. This was just a brief overview of the kind of questions you may get. And like I said, in the future, I will go through these questions with you on one of my videos and you can look at them and you can understand which ones go where, which ones fit where, how do you do this kind of question, and how do you answer this. But in the meantime, I want you to practice writing IELTS, practice reading IELTS, practice speaking IELTS, practice listening to IELTS questions. But for the reading part, if you practice and you have some section which you don't understand, leave that in the comments. For example, if you say, I don't understand how to do true, false, not given questions or short answer questions, leave that in the comments of this video. I will look at the comments and then I will make the next few videos about the IELTS reading section based on the comments. The ones which you struggle with the most will be the ones that I will do first. Stay tuned for more videos. Like and subscribe if you want. It doesn't cost much, it's free, and it would help me a lot because it takes so much time to get so beautiful. Subscribe, like, and share if you know anyone doing the IELTS section. Or TOEFL, share my channel. Little heart, little friends, it was so nice being here with you today. I hope you do well with the test. If your test is coming up soon, good luck. I'm crossing my fingers. And if your test is not coming up yet, practice more. Surround yourself with English. Put yourself in an English environment. Create your own little English bubble from which you can emerge as a Band 9 scorer. Thank you for watching. Little heart, little friends. I will see you next time. Mwah.